What is up, Pauper players? Welcome back to another Salt and Pauper video. Today we are checking out the seemingly resurgence of Pauper PONZA. This deck has been propelled into popularity again by a couple of amazing MH3 cards, namely Writhing Chrysalis right here, center of the deck list. This is a 4-drop 2/3 with the Void. When you cast it, you get 2 spawn tokens. When you sacrifice a spawn token, it gets a 1/1. And it has Sneaky Reach, which is that when you hover over the card, Reach is not actually displayed in the card text, but it does still block flyers, so you can catch a lot of Skyfishers unaware. We also have Malevolent Rumble. This lets you look at the top 4. You get a permanent from among them. They go in your graveyard. You get a spawn. And we have Repurposer, which is a 3/3 for 3 that makes a spawn when you cast it and when it dies. So ultimately, we have a lot of ramp sources in this deck. It is still the same old PONZA shell. We have Sprawl, we have Wild Growth, we have Arbor Elves, we have Thermokarst and Acid Moss with the top end of Hunter into Boarding Party into Altasaur. All very standard there, just that mid-game really getting pumped up by those Eldrazi. Big spike in power for this deck. Out of the sideboard, standard, we have some relics here. We have Breath Weapons, we have Weather the Storms, and then we have our Artifact Hate package. We have 7 cards dedicated to Artifact Hate. We have 4 Deglaimers. We have a Cast and a Fire, 2 Gorilla Shamans. That's the deck. Let's hit the games. Game number 1 here, we are on the draw. This hand is reasonable, so we're going to keep this and just let it rip. Opponent shows us a Dross Forge Bridge. Could be Rakdos. Shows us a Blood Fountain. That means it's more than likely Affinity, not Rakdos. We're just going to cycle to get a dual land. We top deck Utopia Sprawl, which is great for us. It's going to open them Acid Moss next turn. And they have a Refurbished Familiar, which is pretty annoying, but we do have the Acid Moss. That's going to ramp us into the Avenging Hunter. Unfortunately, they have a Reckoner's Bargain to sack the land, so we don't get our ramp, which is pretty brutal. It does still set them behind, but unfortunately, they have triple Refurbished Familiar, which is absolutely ridiculous. We go ahead and ditch the Repurposer and Hunter, mostly because we can't cast the Hunter with what we had in hand. We're going to cast the Rumble here, getting a land to ensure that next turn we can hit the Altasaur. Unfortunately, we can't block this Murr Enforcer, otherwise we're reliant on drawing a land to cast any of our spells. So we go down to 8. We're going to go ahead and play the Altasaur, get the Avenging Hunter, get a land for starting the initiative, and then playing the Arbor Elf. So we do have some life in us. We're going to go to 4 here on this next attack, but they have to sacrifice a lot of their board to do it, and we're going to be left with an Altasaur after the exchange. They've got a Wellspring. They go ahead and attack here. We are going to do what we said. We'll trade up for the Murr Enforcer. Unfortunately, the opponent has a Galv Blast to finish us off, and that is going to finish this game. So let's sideboard and head into game number. This is not the best hand I've ever seen. This is not the best hand I've ever seen either. This is not the greatest hand either. This Mold of 5 is pretty rough, but I don't think we can go further than that. At least this locks up an Avenging Hunter, ideally, with a land drop. So we're going to run it like that, throw a couple lands back, and hope we top deck some of our sideboard. Speaking of, sideboard plan for this matchup is as follows. We take out the Thermokarst, the Acid Mosses, and the Repurposers. We bring in all of our Deglaimers, our Cast and Fire, and our Gorilla Shamans, and our relics. So we actually have 10 cards that we brought in this matchup. Lots and lots of cards. Crazy that we didn't see any except that one relic in an unkeepable hand, but it is what it is. So we're just going to run it, hope that we can draw our way out of it. This isn't the strongest start, a little bit missequenced. Would have loved to be able to play an Avenging Hunter there, but unfortunately, the opponent has a pretty slow opener for us, so we just get to run out this Avenging Hunter anyway. Opponent just has another tap land, plays a Frogmite, Thought casts We are going to be able to go into a boarding party now, which is great for us. We're going to hit a Writhing Chrysalis, which is great. Have a lot of power on the board now. Swinging for 13. We have Trap on the board next turn if they don't steal the initiative back, and this is winding down pretty quickly. Yeah, opponent sees the writing on the wall. They're just going to scoop it up to us, and let's go to game number 3. Last game against our Grixis Affinity player. This is the big boogeyman. Land Arbor Elf Deglamour is kind of what we want to do, but unfortunately we have no ramp, no other land source, and the only thing we can play is a Malevolent Rumble. This just is not going to get it done, I don't think. So we are going to have to mulligan. This, on the other hand, is a much, much better hand. It lacks a lot of action, but if they kept a non-bridge heavy hand, Gorilla Shaman is going to, well, put this game to bed really quick. They do not play a bridge on turn 1, which is great. We have to play the Highland Forest, so we have red mana. They just go into a Frogmite. Not the worst thing for us. We're just going to play a Wild Growth and kill their black land. That'll stop the sacrifice shenanigans. It'll also stop them from playing something like a Tithing Blade on us. We are going to hit their second land. Opponent misses a land drop. And we're just going to deploy our forces here. Arbor Elf into an Altasaur is an absolutely insane top deck for turn 4 with an active Gorilla Shaman after blowing up 2 of their lands. This game is all but over. Opponent does have double bridge to try to dig themselves out, but there's a lot of power on the board and a lot of pressure coming with double Relic, with an Altasaur, with a Chrysalis, with an Ent. Opponent has double Thoughtcast, but that is it. GG's to the opponent. We were able to take this one down against Grixis Affinity against Guy Falcao. GG's to the opponent. Deck felt great. Let's go into game match number 2. This one is against Lonk47. We are on the draw once again, which is pretty brutal for this deck. This is not the hand we want to be doing it with either. Nothing to do. This is also a pretty bad hand. Unfortunately, this deck doesn't mulligan all that well, but we're going to have to do it again. Going down to 5 just like last game. But this is a much, much better hand. Man, if we top deck a land, we are all over this. So we are going to throw back a couple of the mid cards and really commit to this draw a land Utopia Sprawl plan. We're going to go for the Arbor Elf. Really hoping to hit a land here. Unfortunately, the opponent has a Quirion Ranger and shows us Cerulean Caretakers and an Overgrown Battlement, so we know we're against walls, which is not great. This is probably the worst matchup for this deck. It's not even close. Opponent does use the Quirion Ranger to play an Avenging Hunter, double Avenging Hunter, but leaves with a Mountain in play, which does let us guarantee this Acid Moss is going to resolve, which gives us a land. Unfortunately, I think we are pretty far gone. Opponent is going to goad the Arbor Elf here, play a Boarding Party, which is pretty crazy, and they're going to be attacking for buckets of damage, so we're just going to scoop it up, go to game number 2. Hopefully we don't stumble on it. Game number 2. Sideboard plan. As I mentioned before, this is probably the worst matchup. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to sideboard against this match. We do take out 2 Thermokarsts here. We bring in the Breath Weapons just to help. We did see them playing a pretty non-standard Walls list. They're playing Boarding Party. They're playing Avenging Hunters. So maybe we can set up a situation in which the Breath Weapons are going to help us. And it will get rid of Quirion Rangers, which is very difficult for this deck to deal with if we have a land destruction heavy hand and they open with a Quirion. We're going to be on the play. Ideally, we have a starting 7 we can keep, and this does, in fact, look like a starting 7 we can keep. No red mana for this Writhing Chrysalis, which is a little upsetting, but we do get to turn 2 a Repurposer, and we don't have any PONZA, but the opponent has a Quirion Ranger opening anyway. Top deck the red source with a Utopia Sprawl, which is great. We're going to run out the Writhing Chrysalis. Next turn, we get to hit a land and play the Altasaur. So this is a turn 3 Altasaur. We hit another Utopia Sprawl, or sorry, we hit... We hit a PONZA spell with the Cascade and just get him in there. We play another Repurposer. Opponent goes to 10, leads the Stampede. Opponent probably didn't need to lose the game here. They did donate the Overgrown Battlement to us by letting us pump up the Writhing Chrysalis when they blocked. Ultimately, they just stumbled and we didn't this time. This deck does have very explosive starts, but it tends to be a little less than consistent. So that's game number 2. Let's head into 3 against our Walls opponent, playing a pretty non-standard Walls list with the Cascade effect and Avenging Hunter. Let's see if we're able to claw our way back. Hopefully we don't stumble like we did last time. Have a game more like game 2. This is a fantastic hand. We are absolutely going to keep this. Does rely a little bit on hitting an untapped land next turn in order to really go off, but not the worst case scenario. We top deck the untapped land anyway, so we are definitely going to be able to get in there. This is looking like a turn 3 boarding party. Hopefully we're able to really put out some pressure. We're going to hit a turn 2 Chrysalis again. The opponent has the battlement again. We'll see if they donate it to us like they did last time. I doubt it will happen. Opponent Winding Ways for 4 cards, which is pretty crazy, and has a Caretaker. We are going to do the boarding party thing. We hit a Malevolent Rumble, which hits another Chrysalis. We are going to be putting out a host of damage here to the opponent. They get to go a little bit crazy, though. Double battlements into an Avenging Hunter isn't the worst thing. Not really doing enough against us here. We get to play an Altasaur, really pump up the damage. We sacrifice 1 spawn to ensure that we're able to play the second Chrysalis after. We hit a Avenging Hunter, which is a little unfortunate here. Wish we could have attacked first, then hit the Avenging Hunter to get 2 triggers here. Probably should have, but was seeing if we could live the dream and hit that boarding party. We attack in. Opponent has a Tuk-Tuk Rumble for it, which is pretty scary. Into a Quirion Ranger. They're able to transmute a Drift of Phantasms into a Freed from the Real and show us infinite mana, which is pretty crazy because they're playing things like Boarding Party, which should not be in that list if you're relying on Freed from the Real resolving on a creature that makes infinite mana. They do have infinite mana, but they're out of cards, so they're not going to have anything to kill us with right this moment. They do go to the Lost Well and Scry, so we'll see what they put on top deck. But without any draw sources, or unless they hit like a Winding Way or something to go really deep and try to find a way to win the game, we should be in a pretty okay spot here. We're going to be able to put a lot of pressure up. Now, this one was calculated. We did choose to play the Avenging Hunter before attacking this time, and that was just to make sure that this Annoyed Altasaur doesn't die to this Generous Ent for free. We're okay donating an Avenging Hunter, but the Altasaur will live through blocking an Avenging Hunter and take this Generous Ent with it. So that was the idea there. We probably could have attacked first, but if they block out, they don't give us the emblem, and then we play it and get Forge, we just kind of lose. So ultimately, I think that was correct. We're trying to put maximum pressure on. We want to make sure Altasaur lives or makes blocking very awkward for them. It does, in fact, make blocking very awkward for them, so we do take that Generous Ent with us for free. We kill the Rumble for it, so there's no haste. Although they do already have infinite mana, so that's not a big deal. But they show us Valakut Invoker off the top, which is brutal. Sometimes they just have everything, and the stars aligned here. They really did. They had the aggro package of multiple Avenging Hunters into a boarding party on us when we stumbled, and then on the game we didn't stumble and we're applying tons of pressure. They hit the infinite on us. So sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. Walls is definitely the worst matchup for this deck, so the fact that these games were close speaks a lot to how powerful this deck has gotten with some of the new cards. Writhing Chrysalis puts a lot of pressure out very quickly. I mean, it's a 4/5 for 2, effectively, right? So that is a very, very strong card. Anyways, guys, that is all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for watching and spending your morning with me. Hope you enjoyed the deck. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe to feed the YouTube algorithm, and let me know down below if there are more new decks that you would like me to demo. There may be a week break next week, as I am in Amsterdam right now playing in MC Amsterdam in the Pauper Cup, so I don't know if I'll have time to put together a video for you when I return, because I'll be pretty out of it with the jet lag. But thank you so much for watching. As usual, guys, goodbye forever, unless I see you next time.